Well, it's a very warm welcome, and thank you for joining me on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at Molinuex has just got underway, and Brentford straight away trying to get on the attack with the ball played across from the right-hand side into the penalty area. Wolves having to do some defending here with the ball back at the edge of the area. Now a strike coming in, Brentford with their arm up saying there was a potential handball. All this happening inside the first 18 seconds of this game, but the ball eventually cleared away up to Pedro Neto on the right-hand side. Our referee Simon Hooper certainly wasn't interested in anything live. The ball is now shanked out for a throw. Bit of a skewed clearance there from Max Kilman, and the ball is out for a throw to Brentford down the left-hand side. We'll just see here, is there any argument for a handball at all? I don't think so. It was fired straight at the Wolves defender there from very close in, so it seems like the right decision. That's no interest taking in a penalty there, but Brentford do have a throw on down the left-hand side, and it's going to be taken by Ben Mee. Well, we're still waiting for the confirmation that there is no penalty. Simon Hooper does now say that play can resume, but it's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and James Mason taking through action. James, that is a strike from Yano. I mean, it does seem to hit João Gomez on the arm, but it's very close in.
Very close in, and I think Gomez does have the arms sort of slightly tucked in, doesn't he? So it would be very, very harsh if that was given. I
think so. Certainly referee not interested in it live, and after a VAR check, it's okay to carry on. Brentford trying to get a ball into the penalty area. It just eludes Matthias Jensen, and Wolves now playing out from the back as Nuri tries to turn on the halfway line. Just gets caught there by Christian Norgaard, and he's brought down. It will be a free kick to Wolves. So just to remind you of the two teams, then it's Jose Sarr in goal for Wolves with a back three of Max Kilman, Craig Dawson and Totti Gomez. The four across the middle are Nelson Semedo, Mario Lemina, João Gomez and Ryan Nuri, with Pablo Sarabia, Mateus Cunha and Pedro Neto as the attacking three. Brentford have Mark Flekken in goal. Then it's a back three of Nathan Collins, Ethan Pinnock and Ben Mee. Mads Roslev and Sergio Reguilon are the two wide men, with Vitaly Janelt, Christian Norgaard and Matthias Jensen as the midfield three, with Neal Maupay playing alongside Ivan Toney up front. As Wolves give a free kick away at midfield, Pablo Sarabia perhaps a little bit unlucky there, just caught in possession as Wolves were looking to try and play across the halfway line. Brentford now with a free kick around 40 yards out. It looks like it's going to be the left foot of Tottenham Maloney, Sergio Reguilon, to try and send this one towards the box. No surprise to see Wolves have set up just outside the penalty area with their offside, just to make it that little bit more difficult, as Reguilon actually plays this one short and square to Jensen, who then sends a long ball towards the edge of the penalty area. It's flicked out for a corner kick. Pablo Sarabia trying to say that it might have come off Yano at last, but it has been given as a corner, and Brentford trying to get on the front foot here. Yeah,
it's a bright start, isn't it? They need it. Brentford not in a great run of form at the moment. Now taking a point here against Wolves, I think, would be a really good result for them. Molinuex been such a fortress for Gary O'Neill's men this season, but they started well.
They have. It's a short corner taken towards the edge of there, and now floated towards the box, and attempted header there. It was Pinnock jumping for that one, but it is wide. It goes out for a goal kick, but absolutely right, as you say, James. Not been good form for Brentford at all. Had it not been for that one win against the Nottingham Forest towards the end of January, really would have been a very bleak 2 or 3 months for Thomas Frank. So it doesn't get any easier. They're at home to Liverpool next weekend, then they're away to City, then they're away to West Ham, at home to Chelsea, then they're away to Arsenal as well, all to come in the next month. So they need to get points from somewhere, because sides behind them are starting to pick up points.
Yeah, they do. They've got to hope if they don't pick up points during that run that the other teams below them don't either. But it's the away from, isn't it, for Brentford? Only Sheffield United have taken less points away from home than the Bees this season. I think the level Brentford with Newcastle with 7 points away from home. So they're the issues. But of course, it's the Ivan Toney being missing back now. But then when Toney comes back, they had Brian Mbeumo lost for injury, Johan Visser at the African Cup of Nations. So it's just been a perfect storm of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, yes. And in addition to that, long-term injuries for players like Hickey and Henry, who both would be certain starters for Brentford. But 4.5 minutes into this game, and Wolves can barely get a touch of the ball so far. Brentford are back in possession around about the halfway line now, with Matthias Jensen sending one over from right to left to pick out Sergio Reguilon, and Reguilon taking on Nelson Semedo, trying to cut back, put a cross in the end. He just lays the ball back towards Ben Mee, and back now towards Ethan Pinnock. But Wolves pressing it, just trying to win the ball back here at the home side. Maybe perhaps a little bit taken aback by Brentford's positive start, but for all that, no work for Jose Sarr as yet, as the ball is now over on the left again with Reguilon. Back towards Ben Mee, closed down by Pablo Sarabia. This is one of many games available on our service right now. Fulham, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Burnley, Luton, Sheffield United, Tottenham, Brighton, as well as the game in the Championship as well. Featuring, I think is it the Coventry game, or is that one? But in any case, we have certainly all those Premier League games are available on our service as we speak, as well as the later game as well, which should be a good one between Nottingham Forest and Newcastle. So Newcastle with revenge in mind after that hat-trick that Chris Wood scored against them at St James's. But as James here, my colleague, mentioned, of course, Newcastle aren't particularly good on the road this season either. It should be a fascinating game this evening. But Wolves now pushing forward down the right-hand side. João Gomes has passed over, is cut out there by Christian Norgaard. The loose ball is back on the halfway line with Mario Lemina. He's trying to use Ait-Nouri here down the left-hand side. He does well to get away from Jensen. It's that ball into Cunha, then it's a touch back to Ait-Nouri. It's a strong challenge there as well. Referee says advantage to Brentford, which lasted about 2 seconds after Maupay is brought down, so it will be a free kick.
Yeah, not bad there from Wolves, but just struggling to click at the moment. Brentford getting enough bodies in the way, getting the tackles in. Imagine just to sort of nullify what Wolves have at the moment, but you don't think it'll be too long before Wolves get into their stride and start getting the likes of Cunha, Neto, Sarabia. I think the only disappointing thing for Wolves is they don't have Hwang Hee-chan back yet. He is back from the Asian Cup, but obviously not deemed fit enough to be involved in this game. But certainly when he comes back into the fold, it'll be another attacking addition they have.
Almost too many options, really, which is always what you want as a manager, to have that headache of having too many forwards to choose from, particularly if they're all in such good form. Cunha, of course, playing superbly well. All the Wolves playing superbly well. I had a chance to do commentary of that game against Chelsea last week, and they were deserved winners in that game. And fair enough, Chelsea certainly had a lot of their own problems, but considering the Wolves conceded in that game first, and then went on to win it by 4-2. It really was a very impressive performance. But they've just taken the sting out of Brentford's good start here. Now the last 3 or 4 minutes looking a little bit better for Wolves now, just in terms of possession. Not really able to get any further forward than the halfway line. But it is with Pedro Neto now, square to Mario Lemina. And over now towards Totti Gomez and Ait-Nouri down the left-hand side. Gomez now looking for a cross. Nobody in the box to pick out, so he just exchanges a couple of passes with Mateus Cunha. Ait-Nouri now with 2 Brentford players for company. Goes back towards Totti Gomez. Does really well to then play that ball in towards João Gomes. Now towards Max Kilman. And so we have got our first goal in the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and it's Bobby De Cordova-Reid that's given Fulham the lead against Bournemouth. And just in case you missed the earlier score today, Manchester City beating Everton by 2-0. I haven't had a chance to see the goals, but I understand it was a bit of a worldie from Haaland for the first one. I was
had the delight of covering Ipswich against West Brom in that 2-2, so I've not seen them either. But you can't keep him out of the headlines for long, can you, Haaland?
No. As I say, there was always it was, even if he had a bad game or two coming back from injury, there was always a point where he would just break through and start to reaffirm himself as the most prolific Premier League striker. As Wolves now with Mario Lemina. It's passed to Pedro Neto. Just seems to surprise the Portuguese. It doesn't get through to Pedro Neto. Now it's with Ben Mee at the edge of his own penalty area, down the left-hand side for Sergio Reguilón. It's a bit of a poor ball playing out from the back there from Janel, and Wolves now have it back, and it's Ait-Nouri just outside the penalty. He goes for goal, and he's got a good left foot on him, Ait-Nouri, and it looked for a second as though he might be heading on target. He just got a little bit too much power behind that one. Yeah,
good opening though. It's a little bit of a worry for Brentford that they sloppily give possession away. Ait-Nouri's probably not the player you wanted that to fall to. You wanted that to be a Cunha or a Neto or someone like that, but it opened up. It was there to hit. Just couldn't quite. When he strikes it, it's straight underneath it, isn't it? And just doesn't get over the top of it.
No, it's not quite enough accuracy on that one, but certainly one for the Brentford keeper Flekken just to be aware of. It's ironic, really, that Flekken arguably had his best game for Brentford in a 3-1 defeat at home to Manchester City. It's a long clearance there from the Dutch keeper. Isn't held up by Maupay. Wolves now have it back with Nelson Semedo down the right-hand side. Back in towards João Gomes. With Pablo Sarabia, not able to get as far forward as he would like in these early stages, but certainly somebody who's been getting into that Wolves team a little bit more in the last few weeks, potentially because Hwang Hee-chan has been away at the Asia Cup. As here come Brentford now, Tony wins that ball back, plays that ball into Jensen. It's just slightly put off balance there. I think he felt as though there might have been a foul, but I think the referee deciding it was just a fair tackle. And Lemina now squared towards Max Kilman. Pablo Sarabia on the halfway line. And so we mentioned Brentford's upcoming run, but Wolves, they're away to Spurs next weekend, then they're at home to Sheffield United, at home to Brighton. The game against Brighton is in the Cup before a game away to Newcastle. And considering they had a bit of a slow start with Gary Neal, they're actually getting some really good play at the moment.
I mean, they're playing really well. I mean, Gary Neal's done such a terrific job. How he came in on the eve of the Premier League season, Lopetegui gone, Wolves not signing anybody, and it was like, oh, everyone was saying Wolves are going down. O'Neill's come in, thought he was harshly given the boot at Bournemouth, I have to say, but he's just got Wolves playing in a nice way. He's had his injury problems as well, with Neto being out at the start of the campaign, but yeah, doing really, really well. And I mean, if Wolves finish in the top half of the table, they're in contention for European finishes at the moment. If they get into Europe, O'Neill has to be in contention for Manager of the Year. He won't get it, but his name should be in there.
He won't, because it's almost a done deal that the Premier League winning manager always gets that award, with I think a couple of very rare exceptions. But certainly, I mean, considering that Wolves seem to be in all kinds of trouble, they couldn't sign players. Manager left, as you say, on the eve of the new season, and certainly a few days before, and then Gary Neal taking over on last day. But just to say that, Wolves have given the ball away at midfield. It's a great chance here for Maupay, who breaks into the penalty area, but his strike deflects wide. I think it might have had if there is a deflection, it is away for a corner kick. But Wolves just perhaps guilty of being a little bit too laid back at the edge of their own penalty. Jose Sá with a terrible pass, missing Lamina, and then Maupay. I mean, he hits it as quickly as he can. It's not too far away, but maybe he should be hitting the target and scoring, really. Yeah,
he should be scoring. I mean, he hit it through the legs, but it hit the inside of Sar's left leg. There was calf and bounced into the side netting, but he should be burying it. Maupay had a great finish against Man City on Monday evening, but that's the issue with Maupay. It's clinicalness.
Well, it's a short corner there, whipped in towards the 6-yard box, and it's headed across by Ivan Toney. And he got a bit of, in fact, we're getting shots of Maupay now. I'm sure that Toney jumped for that as well. But just looking at these off-tube pictures that we're getting, Toney was there, but it is Maupay that gets his head to it. And as I say, perhaps wasn't too accurate with his left foot, but a lot more accurate with his head.
Yeah, just couldn't get the power, because Sar's been able to dive to his left, get a hand to it, and then manage to pounce on the ball when it's on the floor. But, I mean, that's better from Brentford. I thought the worry for me for Brentford was when I look at them saying, where's the creativity? Because I think Toney is fine going up against, if Brentford play long ball or direct, Dawson, Kilman, Gomez, they don't mind that. But it's if you're going to play out wide, do Reguilon, does Roerslev, do they have the quality to get those balls into the box? That's the question you've got to ask yourself, whether Toney and Maupay are going to get the service.
Well, it's a difficult issue, I think, for all these players that are now asked to play in that wide left or wide right position, because they're sort of having to be the perfect defender and midfielder all at the same time, because of the way that teams now like to have that 4 across the middle, or whether it's 3 at the back with the players playing out wide, whichever system they have. It does seem to be that someone like Reguilon and Roerslev are expected to cover a lot of miles in the game, and to say help out in defence, and obviously, as James mentioned, they get that quality ball into the box as well. I would say that probably Roerslev is a better defender, less good on the crosses, and Reguilon probably the other way around. But we'll come back to that in a second, because here comes Wolves now breaking forward as Matheus Cunha into the penalty area, strikes it. It's parried by Flekken before it's headed away towards the edge of the box by Nathan Collins. Wolves still have a chance. The ball is whipped in. There was a lot of whip on that cross as well from the left-hand side before it's headed away and out for a throw. But certainly out of nothing, really. Wolves just having a bit of possession, and Brentford playing a very high line and not really able to get back in time.
Yeah, it's both sides that are being guilty, given the way ball sloppily in dangerous positions. Wolves coming forward. I love the directness of Matheus Cunha. He gets that, shifts it onto the left foot and gets a shot away. A lot of teams are in the box try and overplay it, but he gets the shot away, forces the save from Flekken, and makes a good stop. And
he's improved as well, Matheus Cunha, from being a slightly sort of a bit of a luxury player, just sort of cruising up front. He's actually got stuck in and is actually a very good technical player, not just in terms of his goal scoring, but in terms of his creativity. As Semedo gets a short throw and then whips that ball into the penalty area. I think it was Pablo Sarabia and Cunha actually both went for that ball, and it was Matheus Cunha who got the final touch. Just not enough power to direct it away from Mark Flekken, but 14 minutes on the clock. Unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary. It is goalless here between Wolves and Brentford. It's goalless everywhere in the Premier League apart from at Craven Cottage, with that early goal from De Cordova-Reid has given Fulham the lead against Bournemouth. It is Pinnock now in possession for Brentford, just at the edge of his own penalty area. Back towards Flekken as Pedro Neto was lurking there at the edge of the box. It's back with Pinnock now. Ben Mee with a long ball down the left-hand side, looking for Maupay. does hold it up, plays it back to Vitaly Janelt, and now Norgaard trying to spray it out wide towards the right-hand side, but whether it's a case of Norgaard's accuracy there or Roslev not in the right place, but the ball goes out for a throw to Wolves.
Yeah, just not quite sticking for Brentford coming forward. They started off the game bright, but certainly I think both sides are guilty of being a bit sloppy in midfield, or defence trying to play out from the back. I mentioned before sort of the wings for Brentford, there's enough. You kind of look in the midfield as well, who's the driving force, who's that sort of creative playmaker kind of role in there. And I don't know, it just feels like none of those three at the minute are trying to sort of pick up that mantle.
No, it is potentially a link missing in that formation, certainly in terms of trying to get a little bit more attacking possession and actually try and create something rather than just out of a counter-attack, as it's flicked up in the air here by Nathan Collins, headed forward by Totti Gomez. Drops to Norgaard, whose pass is cut out by Lamina, but then the second ball drops towards Maupay, who plays it towards the edge of the Wolves penalty, but does it with a bit of pace, and in the end just a little bit too much in that for Ivan Toney. So Jose Sarr now bowls it out down the right-hand side. Brentford though win it back here off for Nelson Semedo. There felt as there was a bit of a push there as they were trying to win it back. The referee's not interested. The ball deflects almost into the path of Maupay as Wolves are trying to clear their lines, but that's really good work there from Lamina. Just drops his shoulder and gets that ball away, and now it's with Mateus Cunha, who's got some space to run into here at the edge of the Brentford penalty, and then he finds Sarabia, who then backheels that ball to João Gomes. Cunha stayed down after a challenge at the edge of the area, but Wolves carry on. The cross is played into the penalty area. It's headed away by Ethan Pinnock, straight into the path of Craig Dawson, and the ball is now back on the halfway line with Max Kilman again. Mateus Cunha, I think, has just about picked himself. No, he hasn't actually. I thought for a second as though he was moving again, Mateus Cunha, but he's still down on the ground. Didn't seem as though there was too much in this, but we'll have a look as Sarabia turns away from. We're getting a replay of an earlier effort there where Regulion had given a free kick away there. I'm not showing us exactly what's happened to Mateus Cunha, but he still seems like he's in a lot of pain there.
Yeah, it's not a good one, isn't it? It's just a slight twisted feel or something. He's looking around as Cunha on the deck, but see this again now. We'll see the replays of it. He flicks the ball away. Yeah, so he flicks the ball into the path of Neto, and he does get the ankles taken away. I don't know if he's slightly trodden on, but I think it's probably just an impact injury, although he's shaking the head. He stood up, but I don't know if that's just a shake of the head as in, I need to go off, or he's just unhappy that the decision hasn't gone his way initially, but he looks a little bit worried. And
he does, yeah, and Gary O'Neill's looking a little bit concerned. They're just talking with his assistant. They've got Doherty, Fraser, Hugo Bueno, Doyle, Chiwera, Bellegarde, Traore, Bueno, and goalkeeper Bentley on their bench this afternoon. So you'd imagine if Cunha does have to go off, then it would potentially be Jean-Rista Bellegarde. That would be the natural replacement. Brentford's bench, by the way, is Godos Baptiste, Brielli, Zanka Jorgensen, Lewis Potter, Damsgaard, Yarmoliuk, Aya, and goalkeeper Strakosha. As Brentford give the ball back to Wolves. Long clearance then from Jose Sarr back up towards the halfway line. Cunha is still on the field, but we'll keep an eye on him just in case, because he looks as though he was in quite a lot of pain when he initially went down. Janelt now has the ball for Brentford, squared towards Norgaard. Still inside their own half here, the Bees, as Collins now pushing forward down the right-hand side, but now he's kicking the ball out here because it looks as though Cunha's going to have to go off. Yeah,
I was just watching Cunha there because Brentford were coming across and you wanted a bit of pressure to come on from him, and he tried to move and he was just hobbling. So Cunha's going to come off. That is a huge blow for Wolves for the form that he's been in. Hat-trick last time out, in good goal-scoring form, and he's got to go off early doors. So you mentioned the benches before. He was potentially coming on, and you would say it's Rickner Bellegarde, isn't it? He's the one that's getting stripped and ready.
Yeah, just looking at Gary O'Neill there as well. He looked very frustrated. Now, whether he's frustrated at the decision not going for the foul on Cunha, whether he's frustrated about the fact that he's just Cunha going off, but you can see it doesn't seem to be any anger from Cunha himself. It seems to be a thumb up there towards the Brentford player and towards the Brentford bench as well. I'm not sure there's anything in that in terms of any intent, but as you mentioned, that is a real shame for Wolves. Their hat-trick hero from last weekend has now gone off with an injury.
Yeah, it just seemed to be it was the left foot of Cunha. So he flicks it with the right foot into Neto. Player comes across and kind of takes the ankles away. I think it just looks like he's caught a little bit heavily on the inside of his left ankle, and he's just struggled to recover from it. I still think it probably looks like an impact injury, but
it might just be one of those that will be bruised for a few days. But in the meantime, Brentford have got forward, and there's players over here coming in from the right-hand side, and it's on the line. Brentford somehow can't get the ball into the back of the net. Eventually, it's blazed over the bar by Mats Roslev, but say we were still getting replays of the injury to Cunha. Then we suddenly get back to live pictures. Brentford in possession with a throw on down the right-hand side. It got switched over towards the left. There's nobody marking on the left-hand side at all. Reguilon's ball was just a bit too quick for Maupay, and then it was Collins flying in. He couldn't get it over the line before Roslev skies it from quite a tight angle.
That's a great opportunity. Who is that? Nathan Collins?
It was Collins on the line.
Collins at the far. I mean, Collins should win that first. He should just poke that into the back of the net. Doesn't. There's a brilliant sliding block in, but Collins should be to it first. He sees it coming, and then Roslev, it's not the person you wanted there, but he should get that shot on target, at least on the rebound. Doesn't. That's a real let-off for Wolves.
It is, and Collins, of course, the former Wolves man. He would have loved to have scored that one at Molinuex, but it wasn't to be. And Wolves now in possession with Nelson Semedo back towards Mario Lemina. Pablo Sarabia now looked up and saw that Brentford are playing quite a high offside line, so there wasn't really any option to play a long ball. Just going square now to Totti Gomez, and here is Pedro Neto coming in from the left-hand side this time. His ball into the box, intended for Jean-Ries de Bellegarde, but it's just a bit too hard for him, and an easy claim in the end for Mark Flekken. Holds this out for Ben Mee. Back now towards Ethan Pinnock. Just to tell you that there has been a goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Pascal Gross from the penalty spot, putting Brighton one up there. But Spurs fans, or those having Spurs in a bet, don't need to worry too much, because Spurs have managed to claw back quite a few losing positions this season.
They have. I think it's known for attacking games, so they probably expect their side to concede.
Absolutely. There's always that risk of conceding, but as long as your team are trying to get forward, that's what you want to see as a fan. As here come Wolves now down the left-hand side with Pedro Neto heading towards the edge of the penalty area. Rolls it now for Ait Nouri. Back to Pedro Neto. Options inside the penalty area, but three Brentford players trying to close things down at the edge of the box, and it's eventually played back towards Craig Dawson. Just inside the centre circle. Now down the right-hand side is Sarabia to Nelson Semedo. Semedo just holding it up, playing it back towards Mario Lemina. Max Kilman joining into this midfield like he likes to do, particularly with Wolves in some kind of attacking possession. But Brentford, for the time being, keeping well organised at the edge of their own penalty area. No options here for Wolves to go into the box. Back to the halfway line they go, and there's a challenge around about the halfway line. Pedro Neto hits the deck, referee says no foul, and now Tony with one touch rails that ball over towards the left-hand side, and chasing that one was Matthias Jensen all the way to the edge of the area. The whistle has gone, but I'm not quite sure. I think the referee has given Brentford an advantage, and then when Brentford haven't been able to use the ball on a counter-attack, the referee's given a free kick. I mean, I suppose it's still a grey area. I mean, we talk a lot about blue cards this week and time wasted and everything else, but one thing I would like to have clarification on is how long does an advantage last in football? Because it's not as black and white as say is in rugby league or rugby union. Yeah,
I mean, the thing is as well is Maupay has been barged over in the back by Kilman, that's fine, but then Tony's played the ball forward to try and find a teammate who nearly gets to the end of it, just good goalkeeper by Sarr. That should be the end of the advantage for me.
I think you're right. I think the fact that the through ball has almost reached its intended target it means that the referee has allowed.
He's had the chance. Yes, he said to Brent, you've got the chance to play this forward now,
rather than having a free kick by the centre circle. Exactly. So I think that Brentford potentially are getting two bites at an advantage there, but they certainly won't complain. It's a free kick just at the edge of the centre circle, flicked forward now by Matthias Jensen, headed away by Kilman. Second ball there potentially for Brentford, but Wolves are able to clear their lines, and then Jensen just fires a long ball down the left-hand side to no one in particular, to at least delay Wolves are coming out with a quick counter of their own. But we're over the halfway mark now. We're 24 minutes into this first half at Molinuex. It is goalless between Wolves and Brentford, and it will be James to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. There's not many goals going in across the Premier League, plenty in the Championship. Southampton Huddersfield, by the way, that's the game on the service available for you in England's second tier. That's 0-0, but with Ipswich drawing 2-2 earlier on today in the early kick-off against West Brom, Southampton have a great chance to cement their position in second. Leeds as well, a chance to sort of get a bit ahead. They played a game more than Southampton and Ipswich, but Leeds are winning 1-0 at home against rock bottom Rotherham. The Millers look like they're on the way down to League One. As Wolves trying to come forward down the left, not cleared away by Brentford, is now driving into the area as Szczerbakowicz. He's been challenged well. Blocking down that ball is Nouri, so will be a throw into Brentford on this near right side, deep in their own defensive third. Certainly, well, not really lost anything, Wolves, since Cunha's going off, because it's not been that long, but certainly the game is kind of levelling out, you'd feel. There's a bit more possession for Brentford, but first goal absolutely key in this game. You hear it a lot, but I do think it is. I think if Wolves get it, they could go on to win quite comfortably, but I think if Brentford get it, then certainly it's something for them to try and hold on to. As a long ball downfield, and Brentford have got an opportunity now, and there's a long range shot. Whoa, dearie me.
Yeah, I mean, he's clutching at straws there, Matthias Jensen. What I mean by that is that he's skied a shot well over the bar, shooting from literally 45 yards out, and he was touched on the shoulder just as he was going for this by Totti Gomez, and he's trying to say that's what's caused him to fall over. I mean, I'll tell you what, that's borderline yellow card for me for Jensen for simulation, because there's no contact there from Gomez whatsoever. And now, with very limited contact, Brentford win themselves a free kick at the edge of their own box for a supposed challenge there from Pedro Neto.
Yeah, the thing is with Jensen there, he has Maupay on his left. You just play a first-time ball across, and there's a good chance to bring it down. But yeah, there's no contact from Totti Gomez, who I have to say, I've become more of a fan of Totti Gomez every time I see him. Covered him a few times this season, covered the Wolves a few times, and just think he's a really good young player who is developing the more he plays at this level.
Well, he's a centre-back on paper, but then he has all the mobility of getting forward as a wide-sided player, and he's got enough skill to pretty much hold it down in midfield as well. So he's got all the attributes for a modern defender, really, as here comes the Mina for Wolves.
Yeah, striding forward the one international down the left as Nouri just gets it, flicks away from a Brentford, and another one still coming forward. Nouri is eventually tackled by the third Brentford player. Just tried a bit too much there, Nouri, but then they don't clear the lines well, the Bees, and now Nouri gets it back, looks to put a cross in, deflected out for a throw. Both teams, I mean, again, this is the style of football these days, just guilty of trying to play it out too much from the back, when sometimes you think, just stick your foot through it and get rid of the danger and reassess.
You almost think that some players have almost, with managers so desperate to get their teams playing out back, they've almost been told in training, look, I'd rather you could see the goal than don't hoof it. And I think some players maybe have understood it that way, because you could see so often that just put your foot through it and the problem's solved, but your sort of players insisting on playing out from the back, they put themselves into further trouble. As Wolves have been a bit frustrated with a couple of decisions from Simon Hooper. Now it's Brentford's turn here, as Mads Roslev has given a free kick away for a challenge there on... I mean, he's holding on to Nouri, but it's a 50-50. Either the referee gives it or he doesn't.
Yeah, I think he's holding on to Nouri's falling into Roslev. There's maybe the foot is stuck out. I don't really think he catches him, but Nouri, it looks more of a free kick for Wolves than it is the other way, and free kick opportunity it is for Wolves. Mentioned some of the height they've got. Dawson, Totti Gomez, Max Kilman all get up there from the back. Lamina's a tall player in there as well. What can they do here? It'll be a left-footed outswing, and delivery comes in from Sarabia towards a far post, headed away though by the red and white shirts. It'll be Wolves that pick it back up with Bellagard out towards the left. Nearly catches that one there. Does Pedro Neto tried? Will be a throw into Brentford though. Disappointing to give away possession like that. Possession, I should say. But there's been a strange old game, this one. 28 minutes gone 0-0. Both sides have had their moments. It just feels like it's going to be a defensive error which will allow another team in. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, there's been 3 attempts from Wolves, 2 of which have been on targets, and as far as Brentford are concerned, 6 efforts, of which 3 have been on target. Wolves are starting to see a little bit more possession now, and here they come again. Yeah, driving forward, edge of the area now, right-hand side with Sarabia. Tries to deliver one in, takes a couple deflections. Immediately arm went up asking for a penalty. There's nothing in that, as they do still have possession though. Kilman finds an inside pass now towards a teammate in João Gomez. Now with Rick Bellagard. Yes, the Wolves are happy just to knock the ball around at the moment. All this being played in Brentford's half, but no real threat at the moment. Lamina out towards Totti Gomez. Now it's with Neto. Bit more attacking responsibility will be placed upon Neto's shoulders, with Matheus Cunha going off injured, as it has on Pablo Sarabia's as well. Probably not so much on Bellagard's, but definitely Neto and Sarabia will be asked to do more. As down the right-hand side, Wolves come. Semedo tries to deliver one in, blocked behind, and it'll be a corner kick. And I mentioned before, set pieces could be
the best way either of these two sides could score?
Well, Brentford's, as I say, Brentford's keeper Mark Flekken isn't the best when it comes to set pieces. That said, Jose Sarr isn't particularly commanding, he can certainly be got at as well. But generally speaking, Brentford's defence has been quite leaky this season. So if a set piece might be the way just to unlock it.
Yeah, first corner of the game for Wolves. It'll be an in-swinging delivery. Left-footed ball comes into the box, right in the 6-yard area. Good driving header away by Pinnock. It's delivered back in towards a far post, maybe a chance. Oh, and then it just drifts over everybody's head. I think Ait-Nouri and Lemina, I think they've kind of gotten each other's way there. There's a Brentford defender in as well. Lemina, I think, is asking for a penalty. He's not happy, but see replays of this again. No, there's no. He's not been touched. I think he's just frustrated at the ball.
I think the ball is close to Mario Lemina, and as I say, he probably knows that if he was just stood another yard further back, there's a chance he would have been able to judge the flight of that ball a little bit better and attack it. That's probably why he's as frustrated as he is. As Brentford now trying to play out from the back quickly, perhaps regretting because there's still plenty of Wolves players around.
Yeah, there's a long ball played upfield towards the halfway line. Wolves, though, get it back rather easily. And they go back towards their goalkeeper, Jose Sarr. The Championship, by the way, a couple of scores to bring you. Leicester, they're on the way back to the Premier League, aren't they? They lead by a goal to nil. But Brentford coming forward now towards the edge of the area. Maupay into the box, then still coming. And he just toe pokes a right-footed shot that has nothing behind it. Easy save for Jose Sarr. It's another chance for Maupay, and again, it's another example of him just not being clinical enough.
He's got to finish here, Maupay. I mean, it's terrible from Wolves the way they lose the ball, but I mean, what is Maupay trying to do there? He's almost like he's got to the penalty area. There's a defender coming towards him, so he just decides to drive it with his toe end to pretty much exactly where the goalkeeper Jose Sarr is stood. And as I say, there's no doubt in my mind that had it been his teammate Ivan Toney running onto that ball, he would have done better with it. Brentford now with 4 efforts on target, but none of them really looking too dangerous as they come forward again. Yeah,
they try to. Ball is broken quite kindly. Out towards the left they work it, around 30-ish yards out. Still coming forward now into the penalty area they go, towards the byline. Cross comes in, right underneath Jose Sarr's nose, and he collects that one easily. Been a couple of goals elsewhere in the Premier League. Liverpool are 1-0 up at home against Burnley. Diogo Jota on the score sheet. He's in terrific form at the moment for the Reds, so Jurgen Klopp's men are moving back to the top of the table as things stand. They had been replaced there by Man City with their victory earlier on. And Luton are trailing at home to Sheffield United in what is a must-win game, you'd feel, for the Blades. Cameron Archer giving Chris Wilder's side a 1-0 lead at Kenilworth Road. The only game without a goal in the 3PMs is yours truly, Wolves, against Brentford.
Which is ironic because I would guess that we probably had more efforts on goal in this half than other games have had. It's quite rare to see as many shots on the target as we've had after half an hour, but nothing really for the goalkeepers to worry about, other than that one header from Maupay, which Jose Sarr had to stretch for. But Wolves now is just starting to see that little bit more possession again. Yeah,
as they try and come forward down the right-hand side. Over halfway they are, Wolves. They certainly lost a bit of directness since Cunha's gone off. That sort of rangy play, the outlet looking for the ball, and Brentford just forced Wolves to go back towards Jose Sarr outside his area. Right-footed, plays it long downfield. It's straight towards Ben Mee, then volleys it back towards Flekken with a good touch. Then he plays it long downfield, out towards this near side, and Roslev has done well there, just right away from the challenger right Nori. Sort of wraps his foot around Roslev and out for a throw. It is played to the Bees. As we've got 33 minutes just over gone. Wolves 0, Brentford 0. Mentioned those scores in the Premier League. I mentioned a few of the Championship games as well. Like I said, Leicester 1-0 up away at Watford. They're on the way back to the Premier League the first time of asking. Norwich's playoff hopes are suffering a blow at the moment. QPR's relegation fears are being eased slightly because they're 1-0 up at home against the Canaries, are the R's. Middlesbrough 2-0 down at home against Bristol City. Leeds 1-0 against Rotherham. Swansea 1-0 up at Hull. Preston 1-0 at Cardiff also. Blackburn having sacked John Dal Thomason and replaced him with John Eustace. They're 2-0 up at home against Stoke, who are in big trouble at the moment. As Brentford are trying to come forward now as they work it towards the edge of the area. Maupay then tries to feed it back into the box. It's good covering, but it can only go out for a corner by Semedo, and a chance for Brentford with the set piece.
Well, it's another opportunity for Brentford from the set pieces. Wolves, for all their possession, they probably would like to just have that little bit more control in midfield. They're just allowing potentially Brentford to get a bit more of a foothold, which won't please Gary O'Neill. But Brentford, for all their possession, they've got to start actually using it.
Yeah, you do wonder with Brentford again, not kind of badgering on about Maupay, but if it was an Mbumo or a Tony or a Visser, someone like that had picked up a couple of chances that had fallen his way, could they have found the back of the net? It was that one way, he tries to play it through the legs of Sarr and it deflects into the side netting. That was the chance for them, but corner comes in now and it's into the back of the net, and Brentford have taken the lead, and it's Christian Norgaard from the corner, close range, has nodded it unchallenged into the back of the net. Jose Sarr, I think, is waiting for this ball to come towards him, and then suddenly Norgaard pops up in front of him. 1-0.
It is 1-0 to Brentford, and they'll be delighted about that. Potentially, things were just starting to slip away from Brentford in terms of Wolves starting to see more of the ball, but it's a corner kick whipped in. And as I say, Jose Sarr, I talked about Flekken not being the best goalkeeper on crosses. Jose Sarr, I mean, this isn't good from him. And as I say, a goalkeeper coach with his young players there potentially would be showing them, saying, look, the goalkeeper's got to be more confident here. You can't be stood on your line with 3 or 4 opposition players stood around you. I mean, unless he's just assumed that Dawson's definitely going to win the header, but even so, he's very static there, Jose Sarr, and potentially it's one that was quite avoidable from Wolves' point of view.
Yeah, Sarr could come off his line and punch it, but I also think Dawson's uncharacteristically so weak in the challenge there. He's in front of Norgaard, he sees the ball come towards him, and he kind of either just gets nudged to the side or ducks under it slightly, but Dawson doesn't go to win the header, he just leaves it. Norgaard's behind him to head it in, like I said, unopposed, and inside the 6-yard box. He's not going to miss that one as Wolves try and respond down the right-hand side, but that's good defending by Pinnock, and he'll just clear his lines up towards halfway. Dawson battling away with Tony. Wolves will get it back, but yeah, well, it's a perfect goal there for Brentford to go in. Like I said, the first goal could be so crucial in this game as Brentford nearly have a bit of miscommunication at the back. It's cleared out of play by Ruslev for a throw to Wolves on the left side. But Wolves have been so good at Molinuex this season. Manchester City and Everton, I think there's only a couple of teams that have beaten them in the league at Molinuex this season. I think it's those 2. But they've certainly been definitely good on home soil.
Well, they have. I mean, Brentford have only won away from home this season twice, and both of those were in West London. They won away at Craven Cottage and they won away at Stamford Bridge. They have 6 away defeats in a row leading up to this game, including that defeat away to Wolves in the FA Cup replay as well. So they haven't been good travellers this season, Brentford, and you said that they would take a draw before kick-off. Well, Brentford famously are very good at letting leads slip this season, so potentially it's something they may have to settle for, but so far they have the lead. Yeah,
they do indeed. Down the right-hand side, Wolves are coming. Goal in the game that we have available for you in the Championship on this service. Southampton 0, Huddersfield 1. The Terriers ahead in that game.
Yeah, Rodrigo Muniz has made it 2-0 to Fulham as well as they lead against Bournemouth, and we're getting word that Sheffield United have not only had a penalty in the game against Luton, but they've converted it as well. So yes, Sheffield United now 2-0 up away at Kenilworth Road. Results
everywhere at the moment. Very Jekyll and Hyde Fulham are this season, I have to say, but this looks like it's one of their better performances at home against a Bournemouth side that are receiving quite good plaudits under Andoni Iraola. Is Dawson coming forward here for Wolves, tries to switch the ball out to the left, does well. Aït-Nouri with a first-time header inside towards Neto. Neto then looking to scamper forward, gets towards the byline, puts in a cross chance here, and it's cleared behind for a corner. Ben Mee, right place at the right time. Otherwise, I think Wolves could have a chance to equalise there.
There will be a chance for Wolves there as the ball is played down the left-hand side. And that ball is played in from Pedro Neto. It was an important touch there at the edge of the 6-yard box. Needed to get that clearance in as Flekken was working, but he couldn't quite get across to that ball, Mark Flekken, and it was Regulion who was able to get the clearance in.
Indeed, as this corner comes in, it's a flat delivery towards the far post, and the header's won by Kilman, nodded back into a dangerous area, but Brentford are there to get the ball clear. Blackburn 3-0 up at home against Stoke City now. What is a big result for them as Wolves have it back on halfway as they'll look to start again. Lamina now just coming out towards this near side where he finds Sarabia. He must have taken that initial corner to stick out here. Now Neto has it down the line. Neto step over, tries to put a ball in. Another deflection, another corner. Can the deliveries be a bit better for Wolves? They haven't been spot on yet.
No, they haven't. The deliveries for Wolves have been a bit disappointing, which against Brentford, you know that if you get a ball close to Flekken, that's a bit of indecision between him and his defenders is what you're trying to pick out here. But it's going to be another outswinger here. Yeah,
outswing and delivery then towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It drops down, and there was half a moment there where it could have hit the Brentford defender's arm, but I think it's just the stomach then of Maupay who managed to scramble the ball clear in the end. Wolves have it back on halfway. Well, they'll start again. Sarabia once more has it down this left side. Goes to deliver a long ball into the area. That's a dreadful ball by Sarabia. It's stabbed away by Pinnock. Wolves then try and knock it forward again. Brentford up towards halfway. It's a high ball. Maupay is not going to win that one in the air, even against Semedo. As Stoke have just pulled a goal back. Blackburn 3, Stoke 1 in that Championship encounter.
That's after
full of goals.
Blackburn, of course, said goodbye to their manager in the last couple of days as well.
Yeah, John Dale Thompson gone. I think it's John Eustace has been appointed, but I'm not sure if he's in the dugout for this game, Eustace. It could just be the caretaker coach, but certainly the change has maybe just lifted the mood a little bit. They've got an FA Cup 5th round game at home to look forward to against Newcastle. It would have been a return to St James's Park for John Dale Thompson, but that's been taken away from him.
It has, yeah. I mean, it's a strange one. Blackburn were very close to the playoffs. I think they're already one game away from the playoffs last season. Just not been able to get to that same level. And I think the board have felt as though they needed to make that change just to give themselves an outside chance. As Sunderland, of course, have got playoff ambitions, just going to go down at home to Plymouth.
We can say this about 12 teams, can't we? We've got playoff ambitions at this time. It's so good, the Championship, with how close it is. But in the Premier League, anyway, Brentford still a goal up at Wolves. So it'll be a rare victory away from home for them, but they're coming forward now. Wolves, edge of the area, they work the ball. Ike Nori now showing good footwork. He's forced out a little bit wide. Finds Totti Gomez. He goes back inside, slightly behind towards Neto. He delivers one in with the right foot. Dreadful ball again. An easy header away, and now Maupay trying to hold this ball up, but he's been just wrestled off the ball. Fairly, says the referees. Wolves have it back. Midway through Brentford's half, Lamina now in possession. He looks to stride forward, still coming forward, Lamina. Just squares it to his right-hand side. Again, it's patient play by Wolves, but can't get in behind this Brentford defence at the moment, which is holding strong. They held strong until 2 minutes into first half stoppage time on Monday evening. They conceded against Manchester City, and that really turned the tide going into the break. But Wolves coming forward again, scoop ball forward, headed away once more. Wolves will pick up the loose ball. Tony trying to get there, can't do that. But Wolves are forced back inside their own half, and at the minute you've got to give credit to Brentford because they are nullifying what Wolves have coming forward.
They are, but generally speaking, Brentford aren't the best team at soaking up pressure. They prefer playing out and trying to hit teams on the counter. Just asking Brentford to camp at the edge of their own box and soak up pressure isn't what the Bees are very good at, and there's always that chance that there may be a hole in that defence. But this will be better from Brentford's point of view. A ball up to the halfway line and then a free kick gone in Brentford's favour. But I think that Gary O'Neill will be very frustrated by this first half, because certainly his side have had enough possession to cause Brentford problems, but it's potentially the decision making in the final third to try and split that defence. That's what's let them down so far. I would
agree, and the thing is for Wolves, there's not actually a lot to bring on from the bench now, is there? With Bellegarde already on, there's no Hwang Hee-chan. So it's limited on what O'Neill can bring on to change things up in an attacking aspect. This victory for Brentford at the minute, with results elsewhere, takes them to 14th, up to 14th in the table. They'd have a 6-point gap to Everton in 18th, with a game in hand as well. So it would look a whole lot more positive for the Bees. As side challenge down this right-hand side, Roslev is just dispossessed.
He is. I mean, it was borderline whether or not there might be a foul on Mads Roslev there, but never mind not getting a free kick in his favour. He actually had the last touch of the ball, so it's a throw on to Wolves just at the edge of their own box.
Yes, indeed. Wolves at the minute with this draw, they'll stay where they are, 10th in the table, 32 points they have. They're, like I said, in the battle for a European finish. You'd feel that it'll probably go down to 7th position, probably, with depending on which teams win the cup or get to the final anyway and where they finish in the league. But yeah, certainly there's European places on offer for further down the table as Brentford work it out towards this right side. It's an overhit pass though. Roslev can't control it. Now Wolves are coming forward once more, and there's a bit of space here for Bellegarde to work. He plays it forward into the path then of Neto inside the area. Delivers one towards the far post. Chance here. Free header. Oh, brilliant save by Flekken. Stops that one from going into the back of his net and then pushes his defence away as Brentford clear their lines. What an opportunity, but Flekken, good save.
It is. I mean, it's a great save from Flekken. He made some excellent saves against Manchester City, albeit still conceded 3 in that game. But he has been a bit of a few question marks about the Brentford keeper since he signed at the beginning of the season. But that was a vital save there to keep Brentford in front just before half time. Yeah,
it was indeed. I think it was actually Neto who had the header. It was Sarabia who played the ball towards him, but really good stop there from Flekken, and the referee didn't get the ding on the watch, the buzz, to say that's gone over the line. As Lamina, well, the ball is ushered behind by Nathan Collins, who then goes down, appealing that Lamina kicked out at him. I didn't see too much there, but the referee's just going to have a little word, I think.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to tell the Brentford players, look, I don't need 4 of you to tell me that there was a foul there. I've spotted everything myself. We'll see if there's any sort of anything cynical about what's happening. We're just getting a replay as first. That's a superb save from Flekken to stop that one right by his post. I think he actually sort of comes off the post and onto his hand, or vice versa. Excuse me. But it is it's off the hand and onto the post. Great work there from Flekken. They haven't shown us a replay of the challenge on Collins, potentially because there really was very little in it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot. I think maybe Lamina sort of leaves the leg in slightly, but I think Collins goes down very, very easily. Or he makes it look as if he's maybe had more contact than he is.
Absolutely. Just to say as well, it was James McAtee from the penalty spot that put Sheffield United 2 up at Luton. And as we mentioned, it was Rodrigo Manisa. Burnley have just equalised, though, at Anfield, which will get some interested looks from the top and the bottom of the league.
Yeah, well, indeed. Is in the goal scorer